I seen in an interview you did where you talked about where you actually had to catch like an extra year for something that happened. What can you? It was in an interview, but can you run me through?
So I was I was young. It was the first time I had ever been to prison, and I had to watch American Me and Blood In Blood Out way too many times, and I wanted to stab somebody in prison bad, you know. And I had a kitchen job at the time, you know, wiping tables, you know what I mean. And the homies had one of the homies from Hazard had got jumped by Northerners, you know, and the yard was on lockdown. And we so happened to have a Northerner on our work crew with us. You know what I mean? So I had a homeboy from my area, not from my gang, but from the area that I'm from, Southeast Los Angeles. Homie Spooky from Barrio Norwalk. He was my dog, you know? He was one of my dogs. We were both young. I don't even think neither one of us was 20 years old yet. We were like 19 or some shit, you know? And me being who I am, fucking instigating shit, you know? Like, we need to get this motherfucker. We're gonna get him, perrito. Like, dick, like, come on. I had 10 days to go home. Literally, 10 days to go home. But, yeah, just, you know, my overwhelming fucking, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, to be honest with you. But anyways, yeah, I volunteered to grab a knife out the kitchen, and I assaulted him with the knife when they let us out to go back to our cell blocks, you know what I mean? And I got caught. And I ended up doing about 14 months extra off of that shit. You know what's crazy about that? I get to the hole, dog, and the guy that's running the hole, that has the hole out of the homies, is one of my worst enemies, you know? He's older than me, but he like, we're not personal enemies, but his gang is my enemy gang. So I get to the hole, and he's like, what the fuck happened, you know? Shoot the paperwork, the incident, to tell you exactly what happened, right? So he reads through it, he's going through it, and he notices that my date was coming up in like 5 days, you know, to go home. But now I'm not going nowhere, right? So he's like, my boy, you're about to go home. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? And I'm like, fuck this fool. Like, we need to get him, dog. You know what I mean? Like, they fucking did that to the homie. He's like, bro, like, we're going to take care of it no matter what. Like, why the fuck did you have to? You know what I mean? Like, he's like, hey, but you're here, homie. Like, and we appreciate you. Fucking welcome to the family. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to be in the hole a long time. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't going nowhere. So yeah, fucking, it's crazy how you're attacking one person for being an enemy, and then you go over here and you're now bonding with another enemy. So like, you know, like, what the fuck? Pick your poison. Like, what? You know what I mean? I should just took my ass home. But do I regret it? No, I don't regret it, because, you know, that shit revealed a lot of people and a lot of things I needed to find out at the time. A lot of lessons I needed to learn. You know.
What was the hole like for you?
The hole to me was. It was.
So can you describe it for everybody? For people who emotionally, who've never been through it?
To me, the hole was a validation of how tough I was. You know, first and foremost. You know what I mean? It showed me that I learned something about myself, that I could survive in any environment. You know what I mean? It was almost like I don't want to insult nobody, but I see it almost like being a POW camp. You know what I'm saying? Like prisoners of war. You know what I mean? In the whole, it's all the dudes that were really willing to go that extra length to keep the culture and keep our cause alive. You know what I'm saying? It was lonely for sure. It was a mental battle. A lot of killers in the hole, obviously. A lot of mentally ill motherfuckers that just don't give a shit. You know what I mean? A lot of people that are battling with a lot of demons. So you do see a lot of suffering in the hole, you know what I mean? And as a human being, if you're well put together and you're blessed enough to have all your senses, like, it kind of breaks your heart to see human beings like at that stage in life, you know what I'm saying, where they just don't give a fuck, you know what I mean? When I was in the hole, I seen a dude bite his own tongue off, you know? When I was in the hole, he bit his own tongue off. Yeah, he believed that he was so mentally ill that he believed that his tongue was what was leading him to sin, you know? So he bit his own tongue off, you know? Yeah, man, it was very, it was something that I shouldn't have gone through, you know what I mean? Because like I said, everything that you go through makes you almost like it makes you almost accepting to more pain. You know what I'm saying? It allows you to become more of an animal. It allows you to open the doors to more demons to come in. You know what I'm saying? And that just made me worse when I came home. Like I came home a different person. You know what I mean? I was more heartless. I was more numb to a lot of my emotions. You know, I didn't allow myself to get attached to anything. I really didn't give a fuck about nothing, dog. You know what I mean? I went from fucking fuck, dog. Talking to myself in the hole to being free on the streets, and I just didn't give a shit at that point. You know what I mean?
So you feel like the whole changed you?
The whole did change me for sure. It made me believe that I can deal with anything and I can overcome any obstacle that the prison system had to give me. You know? Yeah. So yeah, it made me worse for sure.
For people who've never been there, you know, what's like a day like in the
A day
hole?
like when you first get processed, you come in. If there's an incident where you were in the middle of violence, you usually go into a cage right off the top that's like a phone booth. So you go into a cage, you get stripped down naked, you start to get processed. At that point, you're going into a cell with an individual that you don't know. You don't know why he's there. You don't know what he did. My cellie at that time, I'm in contact with him now, is he stabbed another guy with a fishing knife. A fishing knife is the one with the hook. He cut a guy open like from fucking rib to rib, like multiple times. He was fighting attempted murder. That's my cellie, man. But anyways, yeah. So now you go into the cell, and it's one of the things is like, so who's who? You know what I mean? Are you gonna have to stab your cellie because he's no good, or are you gonna be able to live with him and then go from there? So once you figure that out, whether you and your cellie are gonna kill each other, then you start to program. And then the whole, for us as Southerners, we maintain a strict program. You know what I mean? We're up at 5 a.m, even though you're not going nowhere. We make sure we're up at 5 a.m. By 6 a.m., we already did our first workout. We're eating breakfast right after that, and then, you know, it's just constant torture of the mind, more or less. Yeah.
So it's like everybody in different cells, right?
Yes, 2 people at a time. For the extremely violent foods, there's single man cells. You know what I mean?
Is there anything in the cells?
No, not anything at all. Nothing at all. You're
So
not allowed.
You don't get a book? You don't get
books,
paper?
So they do come with books. There's a librarian that comes through with books, but it's a limited amount of books. You know what I'm saying? So if you've been in the hole for a year, you read every book on the shelf in about 3 months. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, if you don't have nobody from the outside sending you books or writing you, yeah, it is what it is. You know, that's where I read the Bible so many times, was in the hole. That's what allowed me to read the Bible a couple times, because I had so much time and I just, you know, wanted to do something, you know what I mean? But yeah, in the hole, there's no TVs, no radios, there's no contact visits. You get your first visit, I believe, after the first year you've been there. So even a visit through the window, you got to be there at least a year in the hole to get one.